Hello everyone, welcome to Astrology and Magic. My name is Valkyria. This week we are looking at April 18th until April 24th. We kind of have a lot going on. It is not as drastic as March was. We have actually some pretty good, hopefully refreshing shifts this week, which I'm looking forward to offering the explanation of to you. We've got a square happening all week, so it is kind of serious. We're going to get into that a little bit more. We're going to do kind of a weekly overview before we get started. But before we get into the show, before we get into everything, I wanted to bring kind of the offerings that are available to people. Currently, I'm booking sessions for mid-April. My sessions do start next week, so if you're booked with me, I'm looking forward to working with you through mid-July. So I don't actually know. I've been planning out my year. I don't know when my books are going to open up yet again after that. I don't have a date set for the next booking session like through the months. So if you're looking to get on the books with me, now is the time to do it. It might be many months until they open again. At this time, I'm not really sure. So anyways, not to get too deep into it, but my sessions are open. Also, this show is reader supported, is listener supported. Also, reader, listener, both with the blog. So the blog, it's Vorder's Guild. Valkyria Vorder is the full title that I go under in the spirit. So Vorder's Guild is where I send out, it's vordr.substack.com. That is going to be the URL. It'll be linked down in the description as well. If you want to get updates on the podcast when it comes out, an email, notifications on Substack, granted that you have your notifications set to kind of what you need them to be to get those notifications. You know, that part's not up to me, but you'll get the notification if you do sign up to be a part of the blog. There's free subscriptions. There's $5 a month, $55 a year, or $333 if you want to become a founding member. A member of the well is what that one's called. There's a bunch of blogs way back from when I started that are exclusive for the exclusive subs. So with that, if you are an exclusive subscriber, there's a new moon breakdown every month. We get super into the new moon. In my opinion and in my practice, the new moon, if you can really get specific and weave things on the new moon, then the rest of the cycles, it's going to do what it needs to do pretty easy. So for the most part, it's the moon, so things could be a little bit funky sometimes, but you know what? That's all right too. It is what it is. So anyways, you get new moon breakdown, and then there's also one blog a month that I send out to the exclusive subs that has to do with what I call adult magic. It's the magic that might cost a little bit more and is maybe a little bit more dangerous to practice, but we've been going over things like the will and ancestral practices for about a couple months now. We're starting to, just as like a foundational space, we're starting to get into a little bit different territory. We talked about the moon and the womb cycles on the previous one, some different alterations. So yes, that's available. How else do I want to talk about what's available right now? That's kind of it. Is it? Oh, and I said last week I hit number 100. I want to say thanks again. Oh my goodness. Last week in the previous episode, I was at number 100 in the bestsellers list for education. Yesterday, I checked the stats and I was number 69. Cool. Couldn't have been done without you. So thanks. That's really awesome. The list apparently changes every day. I'm not really sure how their algorithm approaches it or like chooses who goes where. So I'll be on the list and then like I'm not on the list and then I am, but whatever. Number 69. That was pretty cool. Not a joke either. That is the real number that I got sat at, which I think is, pretty funny, ironic. I don't know. You could go in a lot of different directions with that one. But anyways, I want to say thanks because that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. A witch astrologer being at the top of education. Heck yeah, right on. So thank you for that. That's true. That's really true. Thanks for sharing with your friends and your family and whoever else you do, So this week, let's get into what's happening. This week, if you were a part of and or you did the new moon ritual, I put it out on YouTube. It was a new moon ritual that was in Aquarius back in, I believe, the end of January. Yeah, the end of January. It was pre-eclipse season before we got into kind of just the craziness of the previous couple of months. We are having the third quarter moon in Aquarius this week. So later in the episode, when that does happen, we're going to have a couple of those things come up. So if if you are a part of that or you did practice that new moon ritual, just kind of be prepared. There's some updates, not to be scared, just to be prepared, you know? So pretty good. Pretty good. So first, let's talk about, this might be my favorite part of this week, of next week. Would it be the week after that too? I'm not really sure. Let me not do the math right now, but it's gonna be till May 4th, all right? Is it the next couple weeks? This week, next week? Yeah, so like 1, let's count, 1, 2, it's like 2 weeks. We've got about 2 more weeks of this. We have about 2 more weeks until May 4th. All the planets are direct. May 4th, Pluto retrograde, so we're going to have some different stuff that's going on. We're starting to feel it slow down a little bit. We'll talk about that another time or a little bit later in the episodes. Not necessarily this one, but we're focusing on all the planets are direct. Everything is direct right now, and we're also experiencing a square all week between Pluto and Aquarius, the dark moon in Scorpio, the sun that is going to be going from Aries to Taurus, and then Mars that just started its transit in Leo, which we're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the show too, because Mars in Leo, we're out of Mars in Cancer. We don't have to sit in these big emotional waves anymore. Thank the gods. We're moving on. We're moving out of the Mars retrograde. But okay, before we get to that, okay, so all the planets are direct until May 4th, while simultaneously there's this square going on between some pretty, like, at least in my opinion, foundational placements. Dark moon is the shadows that rule things that we don't know about and can't see. Pluto is the exchanges from the darkness that sometimes we don't know about and can't see. That's crazy to me. Also ruling the underworld. So it's like the things that are foundational underneath of us, underneath the ground, underneath our feet that we don't really, they make us complete even if we don't understand their seat. Okay, with the rhymes, cool. Then we have the sun that's moving into Aries and Taurus, and the Mars in Leo. Now Mars being in Leo is ruled by the sun. So we have this transition, and squares, the way that I read them on like a magical standpoint, because yes, in astrology they make things more serious, but why does that happen on an earthly level? Is because squares make things come to the earth. They come to the ground. They come here, they ground, they land. It could be that you're having serious conversations because, it's like a reality check. Where am I in reality? Where am I going in reality? It's like a compass too. 4 points on a compass, a square can do that. So where am I going? Where am I? How am I going to get there? Where am I at now? Is there any obstacles, anything I need to look out for? So this is actually a really, really fertile time, a really great time, a really fertile time to make your plans. Do you understand where you want to go for about a year? Because we're not going to have planets all direct until, again, 2026. So you understand where you want to go for about a year? That's crazy. That's a long time. Do you know where, like, the rest of 2025 into 2026, if you've been thinking about it, you've been dreaming about it, we just came out of eclipse season, so we're coming off of like pretty big ideas and some pretty big changes and rearranges. So now is a good time to get kind of serious with yourself and be like, okay, well, I know this about what I want. I know this about who I am. I know this about, I've confronted some things within myself and within my world. So yeah, I think I do know what I want. I think I do know where I want to go, and I think I do know how I want to get there. Just be really open, really honest, really truthful with who you are and what you're doing. That's going to be really helpful. The other part of this is that with Mars and Leo, we're no longer focused on the direction of the emotions. Okay, let's just take a second for that one. Let's take a second for that one, because I don't know about you, but Mars and Cancer, I talked about it in some other episodes. It was like going back and forth. Mars and Cancer ruled by the moon. So our direction and where we're going and how we're claiming victories and going to war changes every couple days, because the moon changes every couple of days. But now we're not in that. Mars and Leo is the sun. Mars and Leo is about having fun and with the heart's truth. Now that we have the light, we can find the joy out of all those other emotions. Finally, the joy pops out. The joy, the courage, the bravery, the love, that pops out. And it says, I can figure this out. oh yeah, I remember who I am. I remember my inner kid. I remember how things are good. I remember how to do this. I remember this. I remember me. I can. Yeah. So we have that refreshing energy. In my opinion, that's refreshing. Mars in Cancer, very healing. Mars in Leo, now we're going. Now we're going. We're going on the adventure. We may not be going on the adventure quite yet, but this is a good time to make the plans, take the steps that are necessary to help you go in that direction. In making plans, with the sun moving from Aries to Taurus, we're going to be focusing a lot more on growth than on starting. So we probably already have been in the starting energy, and now we get to kind of look around and see, okay, well, these are the things I've started. This is kind of how I've set myself up. Now what am I going to do with it? How am I going to move from what I already have? How am I going to move on? Do these things need to come with me? Do I need to get rid of some stuff? And because Mars has exited Cancer, we also have clarity on our emotions. We have light of the mind, light of the heart. There's a lot of light in this new start. And because Mars right now is ruling over the Neptune that is in Aries, Neptune is what rules our sacrifices and transitions. So if we're looking at transitions, this is part of the reason this is like a pivotal thing for the rest of the year. If you're looking at your transitions for the rest of the year, and North Node being in Pisces, which is about it's like a little more than a year, not quite a year and a half at this point. They switch over mid-2026, the lunar nodes do. And we have our first Aquarius eclipse early 2026. So we're going to be in the transition energy of that Neptune in Aries and going back to Neptune in Pisces. The Piscean energy is making us, really kind of forcing us, asking us, sometimes so kindly, sometimes so blindly. Hopefully it's both if you are going through, well, anyways, if you're going through the blindness, hopefully it's kind. I mean, hopefully you can be kind whether or not you are or are not blind. That's true. So moving on though, with Pisces and the transitions, with the North Node there, we're being asked to do things really different, make some different transitions. We got to build new skills. We don't know how to get there. We know we're going, but we're doing things differently this time. So with Neptune in Aries being ruled by the Mars that's in Leo, oh my goodness, the star of the show, the star of your life, the star of you, because the Leo is the sun. It's about how we shine. How do you shine? Okay, now's your time then. This is your time. That's how we're planning our transitions. That's how we're claiming our victories. And because all the planets are direct right now, the way that I work with all the planets direct, let's talk about that. So good. The way that I work with all the planets direct is I'm not going to be able to get everything done in these next 2 weeks that I need to get my life moving on and forward. But the good thing about time is that we are kind of forced to experience it moving forward. Unless, of course, you're sitting with your memory, and then there's other different ways we can go with time magic. But for now, okay, the way that we experience time within our bodies is in one direction. We are going forward, and that's kind of it. So because the planet's retrograde and we have to go back and we have to reconsider things, if you make the plans over the next 2 weeks, because there's all this transition energy, the retrogrades that are up and coming, the next eclipse season, they're going to give you the opportunity, the chaos that's needed to make some changes. They're going to give you the opportunity to rearrange a little bit. Right now is not necessarily about the rearranges. Right now, I mean, it could be. If you find yourself in the middle of it, definitely don't deny yourself. That's true. And at the same time, the retrogrades, when it comes to all planets direct, and then we go into different retrogrades are times of harvest, reconsideration, and binding up the order for when the planets are direct so that we're kind of on one path, like one track path. So now that we're not in retrogrades, we have a clear head about it. We have a clear direction. Nothing is looking backwards right now. We're looking straight at the future, and we can see very clearly what we want and where we're going. So when other planets start to retrograde and we have these aspects of ourselves that are looking backwards, and we're looking and we're reconsidering, they're not going to be looking at the future. Even if there's other planets that are looking at the future, there's going to be some aspects not necessarily in astrology, just aspects in yourself, like parts of yourself, characteristics and qualities that the planets that are retrograding would bring out in you and from your chart. When we're looking back at that and we're going backwards to reconsider, then we're not looking at the future. So if you make the plans right now while everything is direct and you don't have to look backwards, it's kind of like you can't. It's like, I'm ready. We're ready. It's time to go. So if you make the plans now, when you do look backwards, you'll remember, oh yeah, I said that. Oh yeah, I told myself I was going to do that. Oh yeah, this is what I was deciding on. Oh yeah, and we just got out of a Venus retrograde, so we're worth more now. We're on a one-track path. One-track path? Yeah, pretty much. Two more worth. What do we want with that? Mars and Jupiter also went direct similarly. It was like a month apart, early February and late February of this year. So we've got some pretty big directional things that just kind of turned around. Now's the time. Now's the time. What do you want? Mars and Venus, let's talk about those two specifically. They only retrograde about every 1.5 to 2 years. Mars is about 2 years, Venus is about 1.5 years. So those planets have long-term direct, and they both just went direct. Similarly the same time. Not exactly the same time, but like within a couple months of each other, okay? So now that we have that going on, we're starting something new. We're starting something different. We've already started a lot. Like I said, we've already started a lot. Now we're trying to figure out what is around us that we've grown, that we can continue to nurture and can continue to feed. Okay, beautiful. So what do I need? The square that's happening this week, grounded, serious conversations, grounded, serious manifestations. There could be some things that come through this week because of this square that you've been waiting for, asking for, working for, praying for. Things that are grounding here on the earth side, not just floating up in the spirit or floating in the mind anymore. There's going to be things that come down to the earth. Oh, it's so good. So that's kind of an overarching picture of what the week is doing. And I'm honestly really grateful. May 4th is when Pluto retrogrades, so we're going to talk again about planets being direct next week, more than likely as well. For now, though, that's what you need to know. Make your plans for the future, and then when we get to the retrogrades, things rearrange so that we can have the change. Cool. Okay, cool. So let's talk about Mars entering Leo. We kind of already did, ruled by the sun in Aries. So that's the final couple days of Aries season. The final couple days of Aries season, while Mars is in Leo, think about how much Mars in Cancer, and every couple days the moon shifts, your emotions are changing, you're rearranging, maybe your home stuff is changing, or you've been reorganizing things in your house. That's the 4th house, wherever Cancer is in your chart and your moon is in your chart. Things have been up for kind of debate. They've been weaving of fate. You've been claiming some victories. Okay, we're done with that for the final couple days of Aries season. Aries also is about our head. So hopefully this energy of Mars and Leo for the final couple days of Aries season helps you to see things really clearly up in that beautiful mind of yours, okay? The final couple days of Aries season, this is where I would get really specific about the transitions. Aries with the sun is going to be the most mature the final couple days of Aries season while Mars is in Leo. The light in the mind, because again, Aries rules the mind. So the light in the mind is going to be really bright. It turned on. The light in the heart turned on. The light in the head turned on. Okay, it's time to go. Neptune in Aries, also ruled by this Mars and Leo, ruled by the sun that's still in Aries. So we got kind of a circle going on. That Neptune in Aries is also ruling over Saturn, Venus, and the North Node. That's in Pisces. So we've got huge transition energy. We're getting specific. I'm worth that. I want that. It's going to be work. That's a part of Saturn. But one thing about the work is that it works. So we might as well do it, you know? Rest when you need to and then go and brew it. Also, kind of on a side note, we're going to insert a spiritual lesson here, okay? We're going to insert it. We're going to pin the astrology for a second. One of the things that I've been noticing in the live stream readings that I've been doing with people, so something that I want to bring up because I feel like it's important, especially talking about this transition energy being detailed within your practice and being able to just kind of keep going with that Saturn energy that's involved with this. One of the things that keeps coming up is that if you find yourself in your practice, in your life, knowing that you need to do something, knowing that you need to get up and go brew something, knowing that it's time, and then feeling resistance and not being able to go do that. We're going to look at it from a spiritual perspective because yes, we're human. If you need to rest, do take care of yourself. Do what you need to do, as I say, do what you need to do and take care of you. And also, let's look at the spiritual kind of perspective of this. If you're on a mission, if you've been given permission because you now have the idea to go be the person that you want to be, to go do the thing that you want to do, wouldn't it make sense that there's going to be, if it's that important, because you are important, okay? Wouldn't it make sense that there's going to be spirits around who are trying to get you to not do that thing? It's very simple. You just know you need to get up and do something and you just aren't doing it because why? Because why? Maybe you got to sit and, heal with yourself. Again, take care of your human. But if it's in the spirit, if we're looking at this in the spirit, Look at the things that are going on in the world right now. There's a whole bunch of spirits of opposition that are up and going and flying over us. So those spirits of opposition, if you've got something going on and you know it's important and you know you need to do it and you haven't gone and done it and you don't feel like getting up and doing it, there's a spirit of opposition probably that's around you. Tell them to go away and get up and make your day, okay? Because that has been a huge theme. It's been a huge theme in the readings that I've been doing with people recently, is like, don't listen to the spirit. Like, you got to put up a little bit of resistance, you know? If you feel that you've got to be consistent, or you know you've got to do something, you see the truth of it, right? And you know you're ready and it's time, okay? That's gonna be, that's the person, or the space rather, maybe, that this is more applicable to. If you know, and there's something that's asking you to not do it, or something that's asking you to not go brew it, tell the spirit of opposition, I'm not gonna listen. I'm not doing it. I'm getting up. I'm changing my position. I have victory for myself to go claim. I have victory to go do. Not about you. It's about me, Mars and Leo, okay? It's about you in the sense of whoever you are listening. It's about me would be the narrative you speak to yourself. Okay, so I just want to bring that in because that's been something that's been consistent for like probably about a week and a half now. Don't let the spirits of opposition get you down. Remember who you are. Remember your crown. Stand up. We got things to do, okay? There's spirits of opposition up in the world. We don't need to go over it again, you know, but just make sure that you are aware. If there are spirits around you, go away. We don't need them. Go away. Go away. Tell them to go away, then get up and do what you need to do. Okay, so moving on. When Mars and Leo, when the sun enters Taurus and we have the Mars and Leo, that's going to be illumination and clarity on fertile abundance. This Taurus season, we're going to talk about the moon in a second. Taurus season starts on the 20th, okay? So this Taurus season, I was looking over the transits, I was looking over the chart. It's going to be a brand new start, and there's going to be a lot of creation. A lot of creation, a lot of art. It's like, and you know, have you ever seen the videos where people sprinkle seeds around and it's like, what do they call it? Chaotic flower planting. You ever seen those videos where they mix a whole, or chaotic seed planting? They'll mix a bunch of seeds together, different kinds of plants, different kinds of flowers, whatever it is that they're planting. And they just throw them on the ground. And then they pop up. They just get thrown on the ground and they pop up. And that's what this season's gonna be like. That's what this season's gonna be like. There's gonna be like a whole bunch of seeds, a whole bunch, hopefully not very many weeds, okay? Because listen, I would like to be done pulling weeds. Can we be done pulling weeds? This is the time. The season needs us to, does the season need us to pull weeds? We're not gonna talk about that. If you need to pull weeds, you're gonna know, okay? If you need to pull weeds, you're gonna know. For the majority of us, for a lot of us, thank you, that's true. For the majority of us, for the lot of us, it's gonna be a fertile, abundant time. There's gonna be so many sprouts. And then at the end of Taurus season, there's some transits that help us figure out, some ingresses, some transits that help us figure out, what are we going to do? What are we going to do with the seeds? What are we going to do? Do we need to keep all of them? Do we need to kind of figure out what's more important? How are we going to handle that? What's the process of it? And that's partially due to the fact that there's a lot of Aries energy in this Taurus season. Lots of Aries energy. Venus rules Taurus. It's in Pisces. Pisces is ruled by Neptune. Neptune right now is in Aries. Okay, so we have the Aries, the fire starter energy. So I imagine just like a whole bunch of seeds going out, getting planted in the ground, coming up, and then being around. And then when Venus moves into Aries, hello, it's going to be in Aries. So there you go. We got a lot of Aries energy, lots of fire starter energy. It's like if you could set off a firework and then there were seeds that came out of it instead of sparkles. That's kind of another good example. That's another good example of this. Okay, so just to give you kind of a heads up, sometimes plant a seed and forget about it and then let it grow. And then remember, oh yeah, oh my God, it sprouted, cool. Forgot I planted that. There's a lot of that this season too. It's like, this is a very chaotic Taurus season. Taurus season is normally not as chaotic, but this Taurus season is going to be chaotic, and everything that's happening is going to help us transition later on in the year. So pay attention to what you need to, grow what you need to. This also too, because as long as you can handle the work through the coming sun seasons, the harvest time of what happens in this Taurus season could be crazy fertile. This is a year where you could have abundant energy within your harvest that you've never seen before. that you've never seen before. I don't know what that looks like for you or what you're working for, because again, all the planets direct right now, so we're making plans for the next year. So what do you want to grow with the harvest, and then let chaos come through and plant the seeds with you? Okay, we got some things to do, and I'm tired of the brew being so constructed all the time. Sometimes we gotta go out and have fun. You know, we gotta go out and we gotta have fun. We gotta be in the chaotic energy of it. So it's chaos that gets things done. That's the other part of it. Some things, when it comes to Aries energy, we don't always understand how they're interconnected, but we look back eventually and we realize, oh, that part of the story did have to do with this next part of the story, and it did have to do with the next part. Crazy. So we've got some changes. We also have Saturn moving into Aries next month. Just lots of Aries energy, lots of fire starter energy. So everything that's happening in this Taurus season is getting us ready, getting us prepared to be disciplined within the Aries energy, because that Saturn moving into Aries is going to require the discipline. You got fire starter energy, bring the discipline to it, be consistent is kind of more what I mean by that. Discipline too. If you have disciplines in your practice that you know are important for you, that'll be applicable as well. But that's what we got going on with that one. I'm really excited for Taurus season. I think that it's going to be the refreshing energy that we've needed after all of this kind of like crazy death, destruction, endings. What the heck? How did we get out of that? That's the question that I'm asking. Do you see the previous like 6 months? What was going on in your life? How'd you get out of it? How did that even happen? That's how I feel about what's been going on. I don't know if you relate to that at all, but like, we're done. Finally, we're done, and we get to move on, and we get to have fun. Okay, cool. So with being in the more fun, getting moved on, doing more things with the sun. Okay, now's the time to make the plans. Well, you know, we've been over it. Yeah, make the plans. Here we go. Okay, so, and let it grow. Let it grow. Let it grow. Fire starters, let it grow. It's like a bunch of sparks. That are seeds turning into things that are not weeds. You know how many seasons we've been planting seeds and having to pull weeds? The end of Pluto and Capricorn almost took me out, but we're done. Okay, so moving on, we're going to have more fun. Thank goodness. And speaking of Capricorn, not to dog on Capricorn, listen, I love Capricorn, I love Saturn, and also, speaking of Capricorn, the 18th through the 20th, we have the moon in Capricorn, ruled by a Saturn in Pisces, ruled by the Neptune that's in Aries, ruled by the Mars in Leo, ruled by the sun in Aries. So again, fire starter energy. This moon could give us a little bit of information about what's going on when Saturn does enter Aries. Emotionally, we have some perceptions. Emotionally, we're going to be able to see some things. Intuitively, we're going to be able to see some things. It'll be an interesting couple of days. Also, we're headed up to, what is it, the third quarter moon? Yeah, we're not quite there yet. So we're still kind of figuring out the directions for where we want to go. We have some further inspections, and a reminder that this moon cycle is ruled by the new moon solar eclipse that happened in Aries, which ushered in a whole new era and beginning for everyone. For everyone. We have new things to get done. We have a new place to be. We have a new purpose. Oh, congratulations. Oh, congrats. Okay, so with that new purpose energy, this moon is going to help us see kind of like what is required of me. What's required of me and how do I feel about it? And let me use my feelings and sit with my feelings and learn my feelings and talk with my feelings so that I understand in those requirements, what am I all right with? How am I not? It's like coping, but also not. Like there could be coping, but it's also healing, but it's also directional. A lot of emotional information. Also, Mars not being in Cancer anymore. It's not going to be this like really, really, really big emotional wave. It's just going to be, oh yeah, okay, I understand now. I understand my heart now and the details of it. I understand my heart now, actually. I did listen. Oh, cool. That's great. Fantastic. So that's our moon in Capricorn. We're going to figure some things out, get detailed on the transition. Again, lots of planning. Get things started how you need to and plan for how you're going to, go in the future. Because if you start something now and then you get to it in the future, there has to be kind of an end goal. That's not the only way to create and manifest, but it is the way that I do it a lot of the times. So that's going to be a part of this. Discern for yourself on your manifestation and creation and understand that planning right now is a part of the transits, kind of necessary. Yeah, however you go about that. Okay. Also, because it's Saturn, it could be Saturn and the moon in Capricorn. It could be hierarchy related, or hierarchy related, interested in promotions, jobs, structures, systems, more money. Also, if that's something you're looking for, how do you do that? How do you grow that? How do you build that? transitions. Things within Saturn related are transitioning. Saturn's in Pisces, transition. So we've got some feelings to work through and help us relate to transition. Cool. That's what's up. Yeah. Taurus season starts on the 20th. Now, I kind of already went over what to expect with the Taurus season. Taurus, well, let's get a little bit more in depth though. Taurus season is ruled by Venus. We just had a Venus retrograde. We are now in Venus direct, okay? Venus retrogrades usually bring something to help us reconsider what we're worth, how we're worth that, why we're worth that, and then we figure out where we want to go for the next couple of years, year and a half, till Venus retrogrades again. How do I feel about my worth? What is it that I'm asking for? Because Venus with Saturn during this retrograde, and kind of they're sitting conjunct basically all week as well. We got Venus conjunct the North Node on the 20th, when Taurus season starts too, so that's kind of crazy. And then Venus is also sitting with Saturn, so it's like the relationship between Venus and Saturn, and I've mentioned this in other episodes, but I'm gonna bring it up again. Saturn and Venus are siblings. They weren't born necessarily the same way, but they're still from the same being. Their birth came from the same primordial being. And so time order structure that is Saturn related, and the worth, the more feminine aspect, it's like the cutthroat sister and the very wealthy, disciplined, militant brother. They go together. They're different aspects of a larger primordial being. And so if you're looking at these transitions, and a change in position over the next year and what you want and how you're gonna get there. You're making your plans, you're understanding yourself, you're getting ready how you need to, you're planting the seeds how you need to. There's gonna be some new purpose stuff that comes in at the very, very beginning of Pisces season with this Venus conjunct North Node. The very, very beginning, we're gonna see, okay, this is what I'm worth. It's very different. I don't know how to get there maybe, and I don't know exactly what it's gonna feel like when I arrive. With Saturn involved, it's not direct in this conjunction, but it's pretty near. It's like a degree and a half off of this conjunction of Venus and the North Node. Because that's happening, we need to be super specific. We need to be more specific maybe normally than we would. Be overly specific. I think I said that last week. I think I said that in the previous week. Be really specific. Be specific when you're talking about these manifestations and creations and what you want to do. Be specific for you, okay? Because Pisces, part of the transition is that you might get there and show up and be like, oh, I did ask for this, but this is not what I asked for. Sometimes that happens with Pisces and manifesting. So Pisces is a pretty good energy for manifesting because it does allow transition, it does allow things to change. And also because it is the oldest and wisest trickster, sometimes we have to be really specific. This is like, talk back to the spirits if you need to. You're gonna know if that's applicable to you. Talk back to them if you need to. No, I'm not doing that. No, I won't go there. No, I'm worth more than that. This is actually what I want. Don't tell me about the intuition. I already know myself. You can't trick me out of this. I already know what I want. You're giving me all these prophecies and you're giving me all these dreams. And actually, I think I'm gonna follow myself this time. Actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna do what I wanna do. Sometimes we have to follow the spirits and sometimes we have to follow ourselves. So discern between the two and what you wanna do, okay? Sometimes the spirits are there to help, but every spirit, this is what the spirits tell me. Every spirit has a plan. Does it work with your plan? Because if it does, okay, well then we're allies. We're in cahoots now. We're gonna work together. That's just what it is. Thanks for being on the team, you know? Cool. If not though, let him go. Let him go. Let him go. Or let him rest. You don't have to let him go totally and completely. You know, spirits are people too. I don't know if that's applicable. That just came into my mind. You got people around you where that might be applicable. You know, does it work together? Does it not work together? Maybe accord to sever. Maybe get clever. Sometimes it's good to go together. Okay. Other parts of this is that we're kind of planning out time as well. With Venus and Saturn together at the beginning and the North Node together at the beginning, this is going to be an uncomfortable start. It's going to be an uncomfortable start to Taurus season only because it's this grand new whoa thing. Oh my God, that's what I'm meant for. Oh my God, that's what I'm asking myself to do. Oh, I can't believe that I think I can do that. That sounds crazy. That sounds like it's almost impossible. But if you can dream it, you can do it. right? So Venus and Saturn are there to say, hey, you've done all this work prior to. They're at a very mature degree. They're later in Pisces at this point, where we're having the start of Taurus season and the conjunctions of this happening. They're later in Pisces, like 25 degrees is where this is happening. Is that 20? Yeah, 25 degrees, 25 and 26 degrees is where this conjunction of the North Node, Venus and Saturn is going on. So they're more mature. They're like, okay, listen, we're getting to the end. You got to arrive somewhere at some point, right? You can't just stay in the abyss forever. You can't just stay in transition forever. Transition is a position, but you got to arrive somewhere sometime. So another part of this also, this is maybe a little bit contradictory to what I just said. Just discern if it's going to be a really applicable. And, if you have spirits on your team that you really trust, then lean into it. Because the other part of Saturn and Pisces is that it's really prophetic. Like wow. I don't even have words for it, okay? Lots of prophecy that comes in. And when we have prophecy that comes in, thank you. When we have prophecy that comes in, it's going to be with Saturn, really detailed, really specific, and it's going to be around, we've got our next eclipse season has an eclipse in Pisces, and then 2026, the fall eclipse season has, or the second eclipse season of the year in 2026 also has another Pisces eclipse after the North Node has already transitioned out of Pisces. So thank you for that. So we have some bigger transitions still kind of in the works. Saturn entered Pisces March 2023. We've been going through prophetic decision, revision, change, transition, rearrange, spiritual lessons, spiritual understanding, spiritual confirmation, spiritual consecration. Oh my God, there's been so much. There's been so much going on with the spiritual and the practices. I can't even explain it. Okay, I can try to, but it's beyond the words of this beautiful person sitting right here. It is beyond me. It's beyond that. It's beyond. So with that in mind, the fact that it's beyond, sometimes tell the spirits to shove off. Okay, I've got things I need to do and it's not about you. Sometimes listen though, because Saturn and Pisces is really, that's what I mean. It's kind of contradictory, but discern. You need kind of both of them with what we're going through right now. Sometimes that Saturn and Pisces is going to come through and be like, I told you. I told you. Told you it was going to happen. I gave you the prophecy. You listened or you didn't listen. It's up to you. So I told you. That's kind of it. I told you. That's Saturn and Pisces. I told you. Did you hear it? I told you. Did you listen? I told you. That's what it is. I told you. Sometimes the spirits have things planned for us that we just can't get out of. And that was, again, beyond me, thankfully, because I don't want that responsibility. So with the start of Taurus season, all of this just to circle back around to Taurus season, yeah, we're going to circle back around to the start of Taurus season, because Venus being with Saturn, being with the North Node, the beginning of the season is going to open up the responsibility and the possibility of saying, I can have that. This thing that's in front of you, about a year and a half, there's a landing point. But a year and a half from now, we're going to transition out of that North Node in Pisces. Saturn is fully going to be in Aries. We're not going to get into the exact dates, okay, but generally speaking, about a year and a half. About a year and a half. So imagine that. Imagine that the prophecy that you receive and the decisions that you're making internally with yourself, and you're going back and forth between the two, and you're talking to the spirits, wow, I'm really worth that. Wow, I can really do that. What's that going to require of me? Am I willing to do that? Am I willing to do something else? Do I want to do that? Is it something that's important to me? If you're going back and forth, the beginning of Taurus season is like, I can ground that. I can do that. It's just this realization, kind of uncomfortable again, because it's the North Node, so it's things we've never done before. It's a new purpose. Clarity on the new purpose comes in at the beginning of Taurus season. And not only is it clarity on our purpose, it's clarity on, I can really be that. I can really see that. I can really be that. I can really do that. I can dream it. I can be it. I can free it. I can see it. I can believe in it. I can create it. And the world can't tell me otherwise. I can be that. No one else can close my eyes. I've seen the truth. Saturn in Pisces is a truth teller. It is a truth teller. It is a truth speller. It is. That's part of the reason it has to do with those prophecies that are coming through. So really, really sit with the spirits if you need to. Discern for yourself when you need to let yourself make the decisions and when you need to listen to the prophecies and the divinations and the messages that are coming in. Have a creative process between the two of them. Again, the next couple of weeks until that May 4th time period when Pluto turns around, probably like a couple days before, because we start to feel the transitions transitioning, So we're making those plans for the next about year. So we've got a year and a half with the Pisces energy. We've got about a year. Got about a year to a year and a half. We're making plans. And then when we get into the retrogrades, okay, well, just remember what you said you were gonna do and do it, because the other part of Saturn is it's ruling over Pluto in Aquarius right now. So the prophecies that are coming in are gonna have to be. Pluto is a binding planet. It says, oh, you see the truth? That's what you want? That's what you're talking about? Okay, well, we're gonna give you everything. You just make sure that you get the work done. Make sure that you get the work done. Okay, Pluto. Okay, Pluto. Make sure that you get the work done. Even when this is what I mean. Resist the spirits that will want you to not be consistent and working on your dreams right now. That's the energy. Resist the spirits that will force you, want you to not be in the work of your dreams currently. Yeah. If we wanted to bring it into an astrology transit, that's the one. Sometimes there are spirits who don't want us to get anything done. What do they say? Misery loves company. Okay, that's the freaking truth. The spirits who oppose you also love company. It's like at the end, if you've ever seen the show The Peaky Blinders, okay, that's one of my favorite shows in the previous couple of years. Spoiler alert, okay, skip ahead a little bit if you don't want to know. If you already seen it, cool. If you don't care about watching it, also cool, welcome. If you want to sit with the spoiler, also welcome. Okay, so towards the end of the show, his enemies that he's in business with, Thomas, the main character, that he's in business with, they convince him that he's sick. He's grieving. He's in this really chaotic moment. There's a lot of hard stuff happening. He's really having to go through it, and his enemies that he's in business with convince him that he's sick. So he starts making his preparations for his end. He goes off into the woods, and every single day, he's like, I have to be the one to do it. I can't be anybody else. I have to be the one who makes my end, not anybody else. The sickness isn't going to take me out, nothing. And then he stumbles out, and his daughter, who passed, this is also Pisces energy, the veils, okay? The spirit's talking to us. His daughter, who passed, is like, Daddy, you're not sick. Daddy, you're not sick. It's a trick. Go start the fire. Go start the fire, and you'll see. Go start the fire. Her name is Ruby. Shout out Ruby. Love you, Ruby. So good. Go start the fire. You'll see. Go start the fire. So Thomas gets up. He goes to start the fire with the newspaper that he has, and it is his enemies in a picture with the doctors. It's a wedding picture of his enemies that he was in business with. The doctors who told him he was sick are at the wedding of his enemy. And he said, I'm not sick. They tricked me. So then he gets up and he leaves and he goes back into whatever it is that he was doing. He goes back to being Thomas. Yeah. So if you feel like, that's just one example, but it's an important one in my opinion. Shout out to the Peaky Blinders. Thank you so much for that show. If you find yourself feeling like, I'm not important enough, I can't do this, I can't brew this isn't real for me, whatever the narrative is, okay? Because there's a lot of ways that could present itself. However it shows up, tell it whatever you need to say and keep going. Get angry about it if you need to. Don't take that away from me. No, you can't take my dreams away from me. Listen, I'm almost there. You know how hard I've worked on this? You know how much I've done? Because that example of Thomas and the Peaky Blinders, that's at the end. He's like lived seasons of the show at this point. He's worked really hard. He's built an entire empire, really. And he gets to the end and the doctors convince him that he's sick, but he's not. So they wouldn't be trying to screw with you. They wouldn't be trying to mess with you if you weren't actually onto something. They wouldn't be trying to mess. That's like an indicator that you're doing something that's actually really important. There's spirits around you, or your feelings. It could be a feeling, it could be a thought, it could be something that is repetitive. There's so many, again, there's a lot of different ways that it could present. But if that's around you right now, of course you're onto something. Of course you're onto something. Of course you're doing something that's important. The spirits want to make you not do it. They want to try and trick you into just sitting around doing nothing, creating an end for yourself. Tell them to go away. Tell them, get up, shove them out. Tell them to go, tell them whatever you need to, okay? Right now is not the time. Right now is not the time. Let the planets align, okay? Let the planets align. All the planets are direct. We got things to do. And also, sometimes I'm more important than those feelings of I can't do it. Yes, it is a feeling that is coming from me. But if I want to be the version of me that I want to be, I'm more important than that feeling. Love you feeling. So grateful for you. Thank you for telling me how you feel. I have a feeling that I'm dreaming what I need to, and I'm doing the work that's good for me, for the people around me, for the way that I need to be, for the way that I want to create the world that I live in. Pick yourself up. Pick yourself up. This is time to pick yourself up. Not pick yourself up by the bootstraps. Okay, we're done with that narrative. Pick yourself up in your heart. Tell yourself you can do it in your mind. This is a time for that. Pick yourself up in the spirit, okay? Because if you can pick yourself up in the spirit, this is very Saturn, Capricorn, Aquarius related. If you can resist the opposition, they can't change your position? Oh, well, you done did it then. That's what that is. You done did it. Good job. Good job. Yeah. Good job. Really, actually, good job. Tell yourself good job every time you do it. Every time that you have the resistance, no, I'm going to resist this. I am going to be consistent. No, I'm going to resist this. I actually am worth my dream. No, I'm going to resist this. You know what? I'm done. I'm done listening to that. I'm getting up. I'm going to go. I'm going to resist it. I'm going to resist. I'm going to resist. And I'm going to go live my dream. I'm going to resist this. I'm going to build this. I'm going to resist this. And I'm going to believe in myself. I'm going to resist this, whatever this is. I'm going to resist it. And I'm going to live my truth. Go grow it. Okay. From the 21st to the 22nd, we've got the moon in Aquarius. Go grow it. Oh, moon in Aquarius. This is a third quarter moon. Okay, so this is where we get into more of the coven related things that are going to come up. The coven also, if you have not joined it and you want to, there is a link down below. It's more of like, it's like a Discord, but it's not run on Discord because I don't really trust the Discord servers. Oh, skirt. So it's on another app. It's a Web3 app. It's decentralized. There's a bunch of other kind of like privacy aspects to it. But if you want to go and join, I think you have to manually join some of the rooms in the group. So explore it. Come join us. We talk about coven related things. The only work that we've really done together as a coven is the new moon in Aquarius work. So that's why we're talking about this on the third quarter moon. That's happening in Aquarius, but that's going to be available for everybody if you want to come check it out. If not, I have no hard feelings. It's just a resource if you want to stop in and say, hey, check it out. So yes, so that's it. But the third quarter moon in Aquarius. So let's talk about this moon cycle before we get into more of like the coven-y stuff. Okay. Third quarter moon, directional. We're coming off of the eclipses. This moon cycle is ruled by the new moon solar eclipse in Aries, okay? So Aquarius is about being ahead of your time and doing things differently. Our social groups, our social spaces, maybe being a little bit rebellious, knowing when to be rebellious and when to follow the rules. Third quarter moon in Aquarius, while all the planets are direct and we're making these moves for our future. Okay, yeah, what premonitions are gonna come through? Spirit's gonna show you something. I don't know what it is, but that's what this moon is for. Spirit's got premonitions. You got dreams, okay? The new moon solar eclipse in Aries changed some things. We got premonitions. Saturn that's in Pisces, I was talking about all the prophecies, okay? That's part of the ruler over Aquarius right now, okay? Plus it's with Pluto, again, binding stuff, and exchanges, the power of it, okay? And then the other ruler is Uranus, that's also in Taurus, ruled by the Venus and Pisces. So we've got double layers of prophecy. Crazy. Listen. Keep your ears open. Keep your heart open. Keep your spidey senses open. Listen. This is a moon to listen. Listen. If you're someone who was a part of the coven work on the new moon in Aquarius, so the ritual for that, listen. There's going to be probably stuff that comes through, whatever that work related to you, the rooting in liberation, free, and truth. If there's anything that needs to be said, it's going to be said on this moon before we get to the full moon in Aquarius a while from now. Okay, you had stuff change on the new moon in Aquarius or the new moon in Aries. If you had stuff change on the new moon solar eclipse in Aries, that was, you know, earlier. What was it, like a month ago? Not even. When was it? What date? What's the date? On March 29th? Yeah, okay, you had stuff change. This eclipse season asked you to rearrange. Venus retrograde asked you to rearrange. Feeling a little strange, feeling a little different. You know, you shed some skin, you let a new person in, aka the new you, okay? Now, where am I going? Where am I going? I need to know. Where am I going? Let's show. Spirit's gonna come through. The spirits on your team are gonna come through. There's gonna be some crazy messages given to you. Crazy messages about who you're meant to be, how you're gonna get there, what it's gonna reward you with. The impossible becomes possible. The impossible is probable. The impossible no longer is impossible. You say, wow, I have a crazy dream. I have a crazy dream. Get ready at the beginning of this Taurus season to feel just really uncomfortable. Like, you're asking me to do that? That's my purpose? That's my path? That's what you got for me? Oh my God. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Well, let me receive the messages then. I need to understand. Let yourself understand. Let yourself receive the messages, because if you don't receive the messages, then you're gonna walk a little blindly. If you don't receive the messages and you want to understand, then you're blinding yourself. This is sometimes as someone, I'm gonna relate to myself, and maybe you'll relate to it too. As someone who's walked really blindly for years now, through things that I didn't really want to go through things that I kind of put myself through, but I knew I needed to go through in the spirit for a bigger purpose. You know, there's some things I had to do and I didn't really want to go do them, but I did it. Okay. It is. And I was walking blind through a lot of those situations. I was walking blind. There was a lot of times I looked up in the sky and I was crying and I said, why, how, when, where? Okay. So as someone who has been blind in the spirit, I will not ever turn a blind eye. You bringing me information? Okay, let me listen. The spirits are going to talk to me. Let me listen, okay? It's a gift. It's a gift. Listen, talk to them, talk in return. Sometimes they'll bring you messages and then you got questions. And they'll answer. Sometimes they'll bring you messages and you have questions, but you need to answer. Again, it's kind of a back and forth. Who's more important in the moment? Sometimes the spirits are going to have the information you need. Sometimes you're going to have the information you need. So it's just, you know, it's relative to the information and the situation and to you and your practice and how you practice. So, but this moon, listen, give yourself permission to listen, because it's gonna be weird. Okay, fate, see ya. Hello, weird. Hello, fate. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be premonitions. There might be some crazy dreams that come through. Okay, I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but there's going to be premonitions. And then we have the moon moving into Pisces the 23rd through the 24th. Let me go back, actually. The reason that there's going to be so many big premonitions, yes, the Pisces energy that's translated through it, Neptune and Aries means that transition, those spiritual messages are going to be in your mind. It's in your head. This isn't spiritual messages that are coming from the external world. This isn't, it could be confirmations and things like that. True. Fantastic, love that. And these are confirmations that's coming from the head. Neptune in Aries says the spiritual veils and wards are the mind. They're in the mind, they are the mind, it's mental. For people who had studied mental practices or practice mental practices, now's your time. And if you haven't started, now's a good time to start, okay? It could be different forms of meditation. There's a lot of different kinds of mental magic, and it's going to depend on who you are and where you come from and the spirits that you work with and what they need you to sit with also, and what you're asking yourself to learn about and sit with too, okay? That's true. And it's also going to depend on the gifts that you were born with and the gifts that you've cultivated. There's a lot of different discernments. Okay, so discern. And then Neptune and Aries, let's talk about that again. Neptune and Aries is the mind, Aries is the head. Within the body, it's the head. It's the head. It's the beginning, it's the start, it's the head. It's the head, okay? The head. You know how powerful the head is? There are so many tales. There are so many tales I have read through the years. So many stories where if you have a strong mind, the stronger your magic really is. If you have a strong head, the stronger your practice really can be. Neptune in Aries is going to ask us to cultivate that, and it's going to ask us to cultivate that pretty consistently for the next 14 years. So, with the moon, again, in Aquarius, let's bring it back. The messages are going to come through in the mental. In the mental. Now, if you have any crossovers of Pisces, Aries, Mars, Neptune that have to do with earth signs, or have to do with the 6th house, yep, or near the IC. Some complicated crossovers, but you know what? They're important. If you have any of those, there's gonna be things related to your earthly world as well. For people who have crossovers of the water signs with again, the Neptune, Aries, Pisces, Mars, space, 1st house, 12th house also, space. If you have water sign related to those, it's going to be more emotional. How do I say this? It's going to be a little bit different for everybody. However, based on your transits in your chart. However, because I don't want to get too complicated in this moment, because I could yap about that for a couple hours by itself, and we're not here to do that right now. That's okay. So, for now, however, okay, Neptune in Aries is our spiritual gifts of the head. You have a strong head. You know the spirit of your mind. You know the spirit of your head. Do you understand them? Do you talk with them? Just like you would talk to your heart. You gotta talk to your head. Okay. So there's some other things to say. Mental magic also, I want to kind of preface, because Spirit's been having me talk about mental magic in my online sessions with people recently too. So I want to talk about some things with mental magic. Mental magic is probably the biggest proponent of protection that we have. And you know what? For now, I'll leave it at that. So, not to let it fall flat, just because there's way more to it than that. There's way more to it than that. So, going back to this transit specifically, ask your spirits. If you're interested in that and you want to learn about it, ask your spirits about mental magic. Ask your spirits about your spirit of the head and your spirit of the mind and your gifts of the mind and your abilities of your head. Ask them about it. Do some research. How you need to with the spirits, do some research on the internet, go look some stuff up, okay? Because the stuff that you learn about in the head, if you keep it unsaid, that is gonna give you more power and more strength and more protection while Neptune is in Aries. And some things don't need to be shared with other people, okay? There's a lot of things in the head, a lot of things in the mind that, in my opinion, should be left unsaid. We don't need to know every thought that everybody's thinking, including the type of magic that you understand in your mind that nobody else does. So I'll leave it at that. Congratulations. Don't let it fall flat. If you feel like you need to go look it up, you got it. Okay, you got it. We just don't always need to talk about it on such a public, open platform. Also, thanks for being here. Okay, so that's the moon in Aquarius. Listen, and there's going to be things in your head that come through. Then we have the moon moving into Pisces, and it's like, okay, I've had these premonitions, I've had these understandings, these prophecies have been given to me. How am I going to make the transitions to get there? That's the moon in Pisces. That's the moon in Pisces. The moon's also going to be passing over, while it's in Pisces, it'll be passing over Venus and the North Node and Saturn, which have been big players in a lot of the stuff that's been happening during this time frame, at least towards the end of this episode. So there's going to be more feelings, more intuitive feelings, more maybe themes that come up. Definitely sit and listen about what it is that you need to transition, how you need to transition. There's going to be some things you discover with that moon in Aquarius where you're like, I didn't think I was going to do that. I didn't think I was that person. I didn't think I actually wanted that, but I do. Oh, that's weird. Okay, well, let me rearrange some things then. That's the moon in Pisces, is the rearrange. You're going to have big feelings that are strange, premonitions and prophecies. Moon in Aquarius, third quarter moon in Aquarius. That's going to be the 21st through the 22nd. And then we get to the 23rd to the 24th. Moon in Pisces. Okay, with this weird new feeling, these weird new what do I do now? How do I transition that? That's the moon in Pisces. It'll show you. It'll show you, and it'll help to grow you, glow you, and know you too. That's true. So that's the episode. That's what we got going on for this week. Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for the support. Thanks for helping me get to number 69 in the bestsellers education Substack list. Holy cow, that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. So that's the week. That's what we got. And congrats on your work working, because I don't know about you, but I know about me. Things have been feeling different recently, and it feels good. I feel like a new person. Feels good. So gratitude, reverence, and love to you. Keep up the brew that you do. You know, that's true. I will too. And I'll talk to you soon. We've got some things to do, so let's go do them, you know? Yeah, true.